Oh my god! Wow! Oh my god!
Jenny, any dots?
By and large, it was me who was in charge of the sleeping car express.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Life has come full circle. I feel like I've discovered new meaning. I've seen the end, the answers to everything. Cats has shown me a light, and I'm not sure what to do with this information or how to process anything anymore. A little over 2 weeks ago, I posted a poll asking my viewers if they wanted to see a Cats review. I had thought you all loved me, or maybe had more care for me, but more than 70% of you, or roughly over 1,000 of you, demonstrated otherwise. So I watched Cats. I've now seen Cats. Cats. Before getting into this, I guess it will be a review or perhaps journey to find my sanity. I need to put out some fine print because I've already made some reviews, and even at my modest size, people have come on here twisting my words, getting upset over this or that. First off, my channel was created to highlight content, celebrate it, and talk about it. I've mentioned before that while I do like talking about bad movies being bad, I don't go out of my way to see them. I've tried to add commentary on some movies, and not only are those the worst ones on my channel, but they simply do not feel like me. You can find tons of other content creators that do a much better job at criticizing movies than I do. So to summarize, I did not go into Cats trying to hate it. That's ridiculous and honestly a complete waste of my time. Secondly, perhaps more importantly, if you enjoy Cats, that's fine. If you think it's the best film ever made, that's fine. If you completely disagree with my opinion, that's fine. People need to stop taking opinions of others as personal insults to what they love. I'm sure plenty of people enjoy Cats, so if you like that, harness that passion and don't let others, including myself, take it from you. Okay, fine print over. Let's talk about, what's this called? Oh, right, Cats. When watching Cats, an odd life analogy emerged over me. The best way to describe this film is imagine prepping for a test. Let's say like a math test. You studied, you wore your best Skechers, and got your finest number 2 pencils. You went through the test, a few days pass, and you get your grade. A 39%. You went in with the best of intentions, but just everything was wrong. Enter Cats. Instead of going into this film ripping it to holy hell, I thought I'd do this a bit differently and start this review with the good. 1. Cats is filled with immensely talented people both in front and behind the camera. You have a host of talented people in this film, including Jennifer Hudson, Madam Judi Dench, Taylor Swift, Jason Derulo, Idris Elba, Ian McKellen, Ray Winstone, and even a hack like James Corden. The film is directed and written by Academy Award-winning Tom Hooper. The film also has producers that helped in films like Annihilation, Overlord, Atonement, The Theory of Everything, Burn After Reading, and several other high-quality films. 2, at least in my opinion, nobody's egregious in terms of acting.
How could you have done this? Jim! I can't believe you committed suicide. I cannot believe you committed suicide.
Yeah, can I have a dozen red roses, please?
Oh, hi, Johnny. I didn't know it was you. Here you go.
That's me.
Hurts, doesn't it? Having someone you love taken away.
It wasn't her fault, Romero.
Fuck you.
Nothing is appalling, so horrible, so bad that you're watching the second coming of Tommy Wiseau.
It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
That doesn't necessarily mean that every acting decision works or the acting is even bad. It's just not so bad that you're watching a B flick. In terms of quality acting, this comes from Jennifer Hudson's much talked about rendition of Memories. This is the only time in the film that I felt an emotional chord was struck. Okay, that's about it. If you see my channel and know what I'm about, like previously stated, I don't go into anything hoping anything is bad. 1, like I said, it's a waste of time. 2, my best content is content I'm truly passionate about. 3, contrary to popular belief, there isn't a well of cash in a video's success. Even if this video blows up to 1 million views, I'm not going to be driving a Ferrari to make it worth wasting hours watching, hours writing, hours recording, and hours editing. It is only because I have something to say. Without a doubt, some will defend this movie, and I can already feel a proper excuse lined up. That film wasn't for you. Cats wasn't for you. This will never be an acceptable excuse when you're making a major motion picture backed by dozens of producers, millions and millions of dollars. Films are made to be seen, often the times of something with an IP as large as Cats, by as many people as humanly possible.
The scale of this film is huge.
Nothing else like it.
This is a moment for you to step into a world that's completely designed to entertain you.
Among people who know Cats, the reaction was pretty solid. Viewers who criticized the trailer were probably people who didn't know Cats, and the fact is they were either anticipating something animated or something that was on 4 legs.
If Cats were just made for Cats loyalists, the budget wouldn't be $95 million. Let me repeat that again. The production budget was $95 million. An additional $115 million was spent on advertisements and promotional material for the film.
Damn, that's a lot of money.
The following films were made for as much or less than Cats: 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, every single John Wick film. For the total cost of Cats production, you can make Us, Joker, and A Quiet Place and still have $3 million left over. Those 3 prior films mentioned made almost $1.6 billion combined. Cats opened Christmas weekend with a total of $6 million earned, finishing its worldwide gross with $71 million worldwide. 2 of the 3 previously mentioned films made that total gross in their first opening weekend. Estimates for the studio's loss in the film range from $71 to $100 million. So much went wrong with the film, I don't even know where to start.
This film is an event.
Don't get cocky.
Before you even play the film, everything was wrong, and that starts with the first release of the trailer that came out in early fall of 2019. Currently, according to the YouTube channel Movie Clips Trailers, which has the most views for the first trailer at almost 9 million total views, the film has 61,000 upvotes and a massive 169,000 downvotes. The trailer was not good, doing a poor job of displaying any sort of plot, which the film itself didn't do well on anyways, and demonstrated the rather, let's go with odd design choices.
Tom's pairing them with a kind of level of technology which I don't think has ever been used before.
Challenge of how do you, as a human, inhabit the feline so that, you know, even when you're not dancing, there's still that sense of feline touches. And
it probably goes without saying that the trailer, backed by the rather rough reviews,
it actually like made me sit back like in awe at how insanely awful this movie looked.
This is the part where I basically break down the plot of Cats. And if it had one, I totally would, right here. But it just kind of doesn't.
That was a hellish fever, dream, nightmare, fuel, and it just would not stop.
Certainly tanked the box office performance. In fact, the top-rated tags according to Google are cringeworthy, disturbing, unsettling, awkward, boring, creepy, bad acting, terrifying, gross, and confusing. The film currently sits on Metacritic with a 32% and Rotten Tomatoes with a 20%.
Hey, reviews don't matter, man. Reviews don't matter. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the people are going to go see it, and it's going to be a deportation to another dimension.
So we have now established the film was made for too much, with an awful trailer and pushed by horrendous stand-up comedy routine reviews. So what about the actual film? Well, it goes without saying that it is quite awful.
And that's what makes a Gumby cat.
You don't see. In fact, I am the roughest cat who ever roamed at large.
From start to finish, the film's narrative is so thin that it's both confusing and a total cluster of too much going on. Cats is about a tribe of cats called the Jellicles who decide yearly which one will ascend to the Heaviside layer and come back to a new Jellicle life.
Whoa, what?
It is of course based on the 1981 play of the same name that had almost 16,000 total performances in the 38 years it's been released for a total of $3.5 billion in gross sales. So maybe you can see why it was made. Unfortunately, despite the play being done to what you could almost say was death, the film doesn't do enough to really justify its existence than rather being a weird human-cat hybrid in a reduced motion picture form.
We had the experience.
Each song is performed, leading into another one, often introducing a cat character with another song before connecting to another setting to sing another song about another cat.
What's the matter?
I have a headache.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor at all.
Rarely is dialogue used to try to make sense of the plot, like how certain systems in the world exist or why things are the way they are. You simply have to accept what's going on because if not, well, there's another cat introduction.
Bustopher Jones, I'm not skin and bones.
Each cat introduces themselves and their contributions to the community in hopes of being picked. However, during this time, Macavity, yes, Macavity, a villainous cat played by Idris Elba, is kidnapping other cats in hopes of being picked by default. Which brings me to the most talked about topic for this film. The design of the cats. Perhaps it was just the trailer. Perhaps it was somebody just being mean-spirited. Maybe it wasn't that bad, or maybe it wasn't that distracting. Well, yeah, I wish that was the case. The cat's design is what you see in the trailer and more. At times, it can be impressive, and others, it can be so damn distracting, with heads sometimes floating on bodies, some characters looking great, and other times characters not. Some of the CGI looks unfinished, and particularly at the end of the film where almost everyone's hands are just, human hands, guys. Of course, a DLC was released to theaters to clean this up, but the fact the film was worldwide released with Judi Dench's hands being human hands and her actual wedding ring being visible, what the hell, guys? Character sizes often change, sometimes in the same scene. I oftentimes was trying to figure out if they were like real cats or these actual hybrid things to explain the constant perspective change. Of course, one cannot forget about the creepy cockroaches and mices with human faces. Guys, who the hell thought this was a good idea?
As I ought to have told you before, is really asparagus, but
Wait, why are you introducing yourself? This is my review. Francesca Hayward, who would play the main protagonist Victoria, was painted and covered in total white throughout the film. While it wouldn't bother me to have the Kenyan actress covered in white, the choice was not the same for Jason Derulo, Jennifer Hudson, or Idris Elba, who are covered in their natural skin tone. Perhaps the reasoning for this went above my head, but as soon as you see Miss Hayward, the choice to make her tonally white was jarring and a bit nonsensical. Since the film took place in London, Hooper went with the directing choice to keep actors in a British accent. Well, that makes sense. While most of the actors and actresses in the film are British, some, like Taylor Swift and Jennifer Hudson, were not. Taylor Swift went with the choice of singing in a British accent.
Scott and yards.
Well, actually, I just thought I'd have a feed at the back.
Which was probably one of the most distracting acting decisions in the film. Jennifer Hudson, she remained with an American accent throughout.
Who hesitates towards you?
Once more, a distracting decision. It doesn't make any damn sense. Speaking of distracting, was the performances of Rebel Wilson and James Corden, both of which were playing goofy, sleazy characters from an Adam Sandler film and what can only be described as a dramatic musical.
He wants to be reborn as a thin cat so he can get fat all over again.
This includes multiple fat jokes, not funny physical humor.
Ready? Woo! She sits and sits
and Rebel Wilson scratching her, lady areas. At one point in the film, Corden is singing but halts the song and film to a complete stop to make a fat joke.
Right, well that's not going to work, is it? Okay? Look at you and look at me, and you know that I'm sensitive about my size.
Not only does he stop the singing, but the joke continues to the point that it becomes funny that the film thought the need to remind us that, hey, he's fat. Miss Hayward, who I also mentioned prior, is a wonderfully talented ballet dancer with quite a resume. Throughout the film, she demonstrates her immense talent, and I will give my hats off to her.
And Frankie Hayward is such a fine, is one of the best dancers in the world, as principal of the Royal Ballet.
However, her acting performance is pretty much just the stare.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was.
At any point, you can skip throughout the film and find her making the same look. Perhaps this is what she or even Tom Hooper thought was a look of innocence, but it's almost like a duh face. It's also a bit shocking to me that the actress, despite being the main character in the film, or at least the character we follow the most in the film, didn't have a solo until more than halfway through the film. The last half of the film finishes in an abandoned theater. Each performance is pretty much performed here, bringing up a few points that make me once again question the motives behind the camera. While it is a nice change of pace from what looks like the Mortal Kombat looking backgrounds from in the beginning of the film, it does harken back to my original question with the film. Why create this film if you're going to act out the performances on what looks like a literal stage? If that was the case, why not trim the budget down to like $40 million, keep the same actors and actresses, and do the entire motion picture as a theater production but filmed? This would have not only increased your chances of making a profit, but also create a proper mindset for those seeing the film. When anyone goes to a play, the mindset is that you'll see actors acting out what they're doing right before you. Costumes, sets, wires, you'll see it all. So an imagination will allow you to create the rest to fill the gap. As a major motion picture, especially one with a large budget, that gap isn't there. When you try to make furry-like creatures, not only is it off-putting, but distracting to the story you're attempting to tell. Furthermore, it's probably safe to say that the decision to go with the concept of the cats was extremely time and financially consuming for the film. To summarize the absolutely odd decisions with this film, I'll just point out the final scene of the movie. Madame Judi Dench sings into the camera as several cats stare at her in what I guess is awe.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was.
This continues for several minutes in this uncomfortably close-up camera angle.
You should need no interpreter.
At times, it looks like the famed actress is actually reading off cue cards or even a teleprompter. Thankfully, after a few minutes, this ends, cutting to everyone dancing, only to return to the actress once more, doing the same damn thing again. It's fitting this film decides to end on a "why did you make this decision?" And that's Cats.
That's when I would appear.
No, stop it. That joke wasn't funny the first damn time. Cats had been in production since December of 2013. Without a doubt, producers saw the fact that theater production had made billions and decided any film made under the name with the same songs would score significant to warrant the high price tag. The studio further backed their play and financial risks with bringing in Academy Award winner and multi-musical filmmaker Tom Hooper. This film was such a disaster that Hooper himself said that prior to the world premiere of the film that he had just finished the film the morning prior after 36 hours in a row working on it. Cats is the epitome of going with the creator's instinct in just about every single decision, whether it be writing, directing, or simply a design concept being wrong. Despite the cast being full of talented people, it's safe to say even with some of those decisions, those weren't even the right ones themselves.
Make her walk the plank.
Listen, I had approached this review differently. Doing a total breakdown would have been nearly impossible with the razor-thin plot and my inability to be simply passionate about talking about it. I'm gonna be totally honest, Cats did not bug me the way I anticipated or others had hoped. 2019's Murder Mystery pissed me off more with the half-ass attempts at humor.
I am Nick Spitz. This is my wife, Allison.
I can't believe
Audrey.
Piss poor plotting, and any chance for Sandler to line his friends up for a paycheck. It also didn't make me burst out laughing by some of the decisions, dialogue, or scenes like 2015's Jupiter Ascending did.
Double our security deployment to destroy any ship that comes near the planet.
Killing people?
I create life! You begged me to do it!
It also wasn't as goofy or even as memorably bad as The Room.
Chip, 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 chip.
It was just a film that made a lot of poor decisions, wasted a lot of money, and did little to nothing to make the material it was based on interesting. Without a doubt, people will love this film, and that's quite alright. Unfortunately for me, I'm willing to bury the film for being a forgettable attempt at cashing in on the billions the musical made, and that's all I have to really say. Hey Tots, thanks so much for watching. So, Cats, yeah, what a film. Big shout out to my Patreon supporters. It'd mean a lot for you all to check out my Patreon and consider supporting. I'll see you all in the next video.